Milk is made on a supply and demand basis, or I like to flip it around and say it's demand and supply. The demand comes first, the supply follows. So in the first few days after birth, you have colostrum. It is there because you are a mammal, and mammals make colostrum by definition. It doesn't matter if you saw it or didn't see it or leaked or didn't leak. It is there in your breast. It feels the same, soft, squishy. How do you know it's working? The baby's diapers, their weight gain, their behavior. But you have this colostrum. The baby is now stimulating the breast and like talking to your hormones about, oh, the baby's on the outside now, and we're going to start making more milk for this baby. We want it to be thick and sticky, low in volume for the first few days. If you check out my 1 minute milk bites, I have some videos about colostrum. But the baby is starting to talk to your body about how much milk to make. And by day 3, you have this increase in milk volume. And at that point, the baby taking the milk out becomes the real driver of the milk supply. And what that means is that the amount of milk that the baby is taking out, and babies are born knowing when they're hungry and when they're full. This is a full-term baby without any medical conditions. They inherently know that, and they can talk to their body about that. So if they have a nice deep latch and are able to feed on demand, whenever they say they're hungry, you let them eat. They're talking to your body about making the perfect milk supply for that baby. And that's about how much milk they're taking out. This is why, moms who have 2 babies are taking double the milk out, ideally, and the mom makes double the milk supply. The parent is making double the milk supply. Same thing for triplets. We don't have 3 breasts, but we would be doing 2 babies, and then the 3rd baby gets on, and your body's like, dang, okay, there are 3 babies taking out 3 amounts of portions of milk. I guess we're making milk for 3 babies. It's a cool system. And it's just important that you understand that because you know how that works, you are now in control. So this needs to be comfortable. We talked about how if this latch is not comfortable, all bets are off because the baby is not now taking out the milk that they need. They're biting on their straw. So this is not going to work. Your milk supply is not going to increase the way we want it to, or it's just not going to come up to where we want it to, depending on a lot of things. But so this has to be comfortable to be effective. If you are pumping for whatever reason, choice or circumstance, this has to fit you comfortably. If you're not using the right size flange, you could be pumping all day long and not taking out the right amount of milk. We just say if you were exclusively pumping, breastfeeding babies eat 8 times in 24 hours, about minimum. Robot baby needs to eat 8 times in 24 hours to mimic that. 15 minutes of double pumping is kind of equaling 1 breastfeeding session. So this is now telling your body how much milk to make for 1 baby. So demand comes first, supply follows perfectly. Pain messes that up. If we give the baby anything else than breast milk at the breast, baby's fine. Formula, colostrum that you brought from home, the baby's like, thank you, I'm doing great. And I might not go to the breast as often, or I might not stay there as long because I did get some food over here. Baby's fine. What's going on here? Your body's like, that wasn't a full feeding that the baby took, so maybe a little less. Maybe a little less. Or the baby had a full feeding of formula over here, and your body's like, a little less then. You're always in charge. And that means that you can use formula, just understand that you wouldn't be expecting a full milk supply unless you were also pumping. The pump would make up for that missed breast stimulation that would have been happening had you had the baby at the breast. So you can pump, you can formula feed, you can latch the baby, you can do all 3 of those things, just understanding that supply and demand are driving your supply here, and you're in charge of that. I know it doesn't feel like it, but that's really what's happening. There are some cases where you could be asking for that milk, the latch is good, the pump is fitting, all of this, and your body just isn't making the milk that the baby needs. We know that through diapers, weight gain, baby behavior, and underlying medical conditions. Absolutely, can cause this system to not operate. Like nature works, but there's always little like monkey wrenches that get thrown in nature where it doesn't work exactly the way we want it to. But in general, demand follows, supply follows demand. You want more milk? You ask for more through more breastfeeding or more pumping. Again, this has to fit you. You need to know how your pump is working. This has to be comfortable. But if you do that in a couple of days, you will see the milk supply come up. Same thing goes for making your supply go down. We stop latching as often. We start using more formula. We stop pumping as often. In a few days, you're going to see that supply go down. Your body's doing exactly what you're telling it to do. So I hope that helps you understand the demand and supply nature of milk making.